I want to share with you a very important message. Please watch this to the end. Now, since I started to post things online, I have been banned on Instagram, not allowed to stream, not allowed to post, and almost lost my account. I lost my Facebook account, and then it took a few months, and then they reactivated it. Then I was banned. I was flagged with posting supposedly inappropriate content when I posted things about Alphabet community. TikTok is where I got shadow banned, especially when I started to post things about purity and sexual purity. Now on YouTube, that has not happened yet. But if you have watched my ministry, you've seen that especially during the Pride Month, I took a very strong stance on the biblical truth and the biblical standards for morality. And that is not very much liked in our culture, especially by mainstream media and the culture. I know friends of mine who lost their accounts. I know other pastors who had large following online and completely either got demonetized, deplatformed, or completely removed. I want to give you a promise and also ask you for something. My promise is to preach God's word, not to water it down or to sugarcoat it, but also to season it with grace. Whether it's topics that people don't want to hear or topics that could get me banned on YouTube and kicked out of other platforms. I had to make a decision before the Alphabet month came up. Will I be preaching about this? Do we need to stream this? We're going to lose our platform. We're going to lose our subscribers and all of that stuff. But I knew that staying with the truth in love is more important than influence and the following. But I want to ask you for something. Would you sign up for my emails so that in case I do lose the platform, we can stay connected? You can go to pastorvlad.org/email and choose your form of email, whether it's once a week, receive a short encouragement, or once a week to receive a reminder about audio podcast, or once a week to receive a blog, or to receive once a month a reminder about fasting. Whichever way that you can do it, you can always unsubscribe if you don't like receiving that. I promise not to spam you, promise not to sell you stuff. What I do is I try to send very condensed, very small, encouraging and uplifting emails every single week to better your spiritual life. I know that emails seem like an old school kind of thing, but at the same time, I do believe that when it comes to social media, it's very unstable. And even YouTube, you can lose all of that. But with emails, we're able to communicate and able to stay connected. Persecution is nothing new. And though being banned, deplatformed, I wouldn't call it a heavy persecution because there are people who face really serious persecution. But still, it does remind us that in 2 Timothy chapter 4, Paul tells us in verse 3, "For the time will come when people will not endure sound doctrine, but according to their own desires, because they have itching ears, they will heap up for themselves teachers, and they will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to fables." And a lot of people, and some pastors actually, would avoid anything that is controversial, anything that could get them banned, and they just focus on, they say, no, we just preach Jesus, but means we don't talk about things in the Bible that could get them in trouble. That's really kind of what a lot of pastors are. Not all, but quite a few pastors online. Even I had pastors warn me, hey, you shouldn't be talking about that stuff. Hey, aren't you afraid you're gonna get, run over by the YouTube community or run over by this other community if you post things. The Bible also tells us that blessed are those who are persecuted for the righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 5:10. And Matthew 5:11, it says, "Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake." Now, I know people who are truly persecuted. My persecution of being banned, called with names and everything, I wouldn't call that on the level that people are experiencing that today. But something I do keep in mind is that Christian faith has always had persecution in its background. For example, in the first century, in the beginning, Christians were a small group faced with occasional trouble from religious leaders. Some Christians were killed, including Jesus, who was crucified. Majority of Christians were not attacked necessarily by the Romans, but by the Jewish believers who didn't believe in Messiah. They just believed in God and didn't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. Because Romans actually provided an umbrella of protection for the Jewish community, where Romans required their citizens and everyone under the Rome to worship Roman gods once a year and to provide a certificate that you worshiped God, their God. But Jewish communities had a free pass. They didn't have to provide the certificate that they worshiped Roman God once a year. And so they get the free pass because of their faith in God, and it was very important to them. And because Christianity came under the Jewish faith at first, what began to happen with Christians is everywhere they spread the gospel, they were hid under the umbrella of not being required to worship a Roman god once a year, until Jewish community made it very clear that Christian faith is not an extension of Judaism. Christian faith is completely opposite of that, because they worship Jesus, and Jewish community disassociated themselves from the Christian faith, and Christians got thrown under the bus. And what started to happen in the 2nd century is, as Christianity grew, Romans felt threatened and suspected Christians of not following their gods, and many times they were seen as bad people. Christians were accused of, like for example, eating other human beings, because Christians took the Lord's Supper, and the Romans didn't understand this. So what they would say is that Christians are gathering in their secret cults and they are eating each other. They're eating human flesh. And because Christian gatherings were called love feasts, Romans also added another accusations and said not only they're eating human flesh in their gatherings, but they're also practicing sexual orgies. And so Christianity was viewed as this perverted, twisted thing because of the reputation that Romans wanted to spread to make people not want to join Christian faith, even though Christians were outstanding, moral citizens, loving, taking care of the poor. But the reputation about them was destroyed by Romans who worshipped their Roman gods. And emperors would punish Christians, and though that punishment wasn't always consistent and constant, the persecution really got heavy in the 3rd century. In the 3rd century, Roman leaders became more severe in persecuting Christians. They wanted everyone to worship Roman gods, but Christians refused. An emperor named Decius made a rule that everyone must prove that they worshipped Roman gods, and many Christians were punished and killed for not obeying that. And later on, another emperor, Diocletian, he made it things worse. He tried hard to get rid of Christianity, and Christians faced terrible suffering and death. And as I mentioned before, that once a year, Roman Empire asked people to provide a proof that they worshipped a Roman god. This proof was called a certificate, or libellus. It was a document or a piece of paper that showed that they performed a sacrifice to a Roman gods and the emperor. The authorities wanted everyone to follow this traditional Roman religious practices, and this certificate was a way to make sure that people were loyal to the Roman gods. And if people couldn't show the proof or refused to sacrifice, they faced punishment, fines, and penalties. And a lot of times they were killed. Some people would buy these certificates, even some Christians, under the table and get away with it. But many Christians were killed for not worshiping Roman gods. And Christians were persecuted, but they developed this thing like a secret symbol. And this secret symbol was a fish symbol, was an ancient Christian symbol shaped like a fish. And the word ictus meant fish in Greek. I probably not pronounced that correctly, but my Greek is not good. It was used by early Christians as a secret symbol during the times of persecution. The legend has that when Christians met a stranger on the road during the times of danger, one person would draw the upper arc of the fish symbol in the dirt, and if the other person was a Christian, they would complete the drawing, forming the full fish symbol. This way they could identify each other discreetly and share their faith without drawing too much attention from those who might persecute them. Over time, Christianity grew, persecution decreased, and then this fish symbol became more widely recognized and accepted as a symbol of Christian identity. And so I do want to encourage those of you who are going through persecution from your family members today, being called with names, being accused. I remember in the beginning stages of our ministry, other churches, would call us and really label us with such a weird, bizarre, false accusations. It was very painful because I wanted to be accepted by them. I really wanted to fit in. I didn't know any English at the time, and so it was just very painful. And I want to encourage you, if you're going through that, to persevere. Your reward is great in heaven. Don't give up. Find a community of people that believe and support in those things that you walking in and can uplift you. For those that are facing severe persecution, we're praying for you. We're standing with you, that God will intervene and bring relief and mercy in your situation. And for all of you who love this ministry and who are being blessed by this ministry, while I am not Debbie the Downer and expecting that this channel will get shut down and my social media will be gone, but at the same time, I do want to be prepared. I expect the best, I prepare for the worst. And so would you do me a huge favor and just go to pastorvlad.org/email and sign up for the email. You will right away get an email from me to let me know how you came up into this ministry, share a little bit your story. Try to reply to that right away so that our emails don't go into your junk folder going forward, and so that you can receive those emails. I promise not to spam, sell your information to other people or sell you stuff. I want to send short emails every week to encourage your Christian faith. And then in the PS of the email, I'll always kind of let you know of upcoming events or some things that maybe you wanted to be aware of. We're also developing a video platform on my website, and that will become an app where all of our solid teaching and our e-courses will be available on in case something doesn't go well with YouTube. So we don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket, but we're still grateful for this opportunity to bring these videos, teachings, and live streams to you through YouTube, through Facebook, and other means. But I do want to have a backup plan just in case something happens, because the way this world is going, I'm pretty sure that many Christian creators who speak the truth in love might not last very long on these platforms. We pray for the best, we hope for the best, but we do have to prepare for the worst. So thank you for watching this video. I hope that you were encouraged, and I hope to see you on the other side of the email list.